Are you able to, oh hi, oh gosh, that's the camera right there. Hi everybody. Can you grab the link and email or text somebody from on here? You know what I'm saying? Thanks. Yeah, maybe you can text it to me too. No, you're totally good.
Number.
It's 801. If you can text me, 682 9723. Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
Please let me know. You're welcome.
Can we grab a link?
Okay, yeah, it's on your phone now.
Oh, you're in front of the camera. I'm sorry, people. So the only thing that's hard is it just doesn't. It's just not a good. This is also, by the way, it's just hard to see the screen, you know. But that is what it is.
Let me see if there's something different we can do while we're still here.
I just picked this up on myself today.
I never was a punk person. You
No,
know
I
that.
wasn't the prep
I was
person.
going to say
I wasn't, but the teacher was like, then
I still.
I was like the C though, so I was 12 or 25 downstairs.
This is what I'm doing all.
Auto-correct for
If I go through the PowerPoint, can you share your screen? Or is that too crazy or chaotic?
can. I sure can. It's light now. Yeah.
Should I airdrop it? Or no? Should I email?
Okay, you can go. I'm gonna take this corner. There's like a couch back there in the corner, or there's seats there or the front.
Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to get started. We're just a couple minutes late. Sorry, we're trying to get our technical things together. We have some people that are joining from across the country, and so trying to make it so they can see the best that they can. This is kind of sad. I think that's kind of okay. Justin, do you think that the projector moves?
I don't know.
If there's a minute, I'll let you see and see if it goes like that a little more. But otherwise,
No.
yeah.
Projector's gonna be
All right, we're gonna get started. Thank you so much. I know you guys came from all different faraway places. As I was talking to my friend Dan, he's like, seriously? You're gonna have all these people with anxiety come into a room like this? Like, what kind of a deal is this? And every time I come and teach one of these classes, that's exactly what I think. I'm like, I hope they come because really it's like stress to get out the door. I know, and to go into public places and to, what if somebody asks me something, or like all things, right? All those fearful things. So thanks for showing up. I'm so excited that you're here. So my intention tonight is to share with you some things that I have learned over the last many years through some of my own experience and experience with my family. And through those experiences, I have learned so much. And the things that I have learned have actually worked and made a difference and a change in my family. So I wanted to teach about this for some time. And it initially started with wanting to teach young kids, because so many of the kids that I interact with through different aspects of my life, I mean, a large percent of them struggle with so much anxiety. It's not in my own family, right? And so some simple tips and skills, if you'll give them a try, if you'll embrace them, could really make a difference in your day-to-day. And like quality of life, right? Like this is a huge deal that we're dealing with. So I'm gonna start with my story. And you can't really see all of the screen, so I'm sorry about that. This is my family. I have 4 kids.
I think they're very cute. This is not that long ago, but there was a day when I was the cutest. My mom's here, and I would like to thank her for my bangs in that picture. I always wondered if it was a good idea to have bangs from like here all the way towards that. I think all the ladies have a picture like that. So I grew up a really happy kid, full of light, and I don't remember having much worry or much concern as I was younger, and had a good childhood. Nothing too traumatic happened. Then I got married and started having kids. This picture here is just after my third was born. And after she was born, I started to not feel right. And so I went to the doctor, and he was like, oh, you have a new baby, like hormones can be all over the place, you're tired, like go home. And sorry, in case you have anxiety, you got it all out now. We're all friends. So anyways, something wasn't right. The doctor was like, well, go home, wait till the baby's 6 months. It progressively got worse, so I went back and said, something's not right. So he took my blood and was like, okay, you're right, something's not right, head to the endocrinologist. So you wait however long to get in there, right? And as I waited to get into there, things got even worse and worse and worse. And life was stressful, and I felt super overwhelmed with 3, and I had several other outside things going on, and things got to a really bad point. I remember the worst of it. I remember taking a bath one night to just try to relax. And in my mind, I was thinking the best way to get out of my situation, because I just couldn't feel normal, was to just leave my family. That made sense to me. And I was making plans. I was going to leave on a plane. I wasn't going to tell my husband. I was going to take the baby because the baby needed food, and so she was helpless, and that was a good plan. So I went and was able to get my blood, and she was like, oh, sweetie, your numbers are so low, we need to do something for you fast. And I was like, really? Really? Like after a year? Yes, thank you. Give me something, right? And so my thyroid was off and got me kind of regulated, and I came out of that dark cloud. So that was my first experience with dealing with depression. I didn't know that's what it was. Somehow later realizing it, there was a little piece of like, oh, okay, like there was a thing, there was a reason for feeling that. Yeah, right? This next picture, these are my 2 youngest. This was a couple of years ago. And she started to get anxiety, and it got bad to the point where it was hard to function in daily life. Hard to get her to go to school. She wasn't participating with any of her piano or other things like that. And so we were like, I did save it for you. So I was like, what am I going to do? Her teacher at school said that I should go and put her on Prozac. And I didn't know anything about it. I just was like, I don't know. So I thought I want to try to do what I can in natural ways first. That's my general mode and way of doing things. If I do natural, if not, then let's hop on to medicine. Okay, so that's one thing that I want to point out as we talk tonight. That's just my mode of doing things, and so that's what I'm sharing with you. But I'm so grateful for medicine. My dad has had cancer 3 times, and without medicine, we would not have him. So medicine's okay. So anyways, we were able to really help her have a complete change in her life. Sorry. The family's in the room, so I see their face. Okay, so 2 years later, just recently, a couple months ago, she said to me, you see here in this picture, she's got this little teeny keychain on her waist. And that keychain is something that I have on my purse. And it's my little teeny medicine cabinet on wheels. Little teeny bottles of oil that I can take, that if I've got a headache or a stomachache, like I can pull some out and I can take care of myself. And she said to me just barely, she said, hey mom, you know how I would wear my keychain to school every day? She did. I just thought, oh, that's cute. She likes oils, right? So she wears a keychain every day. She said, do you want to know why? And I said, yeah, tell me why. She said, because it made me feel safe. And I thought, so interesting. One of the main things that I find with anxiety is just feeling like I don't have control, right? And that gave her a teeny bit of control. Made me feel safe. So that was my experience in dealing with her with anxiety. Then, guys, I don't normally cry at these things. I know a lot of you supported me in what I've gone through, but in the last 6 months, I've gone through some real huge transitions that have brought on some deep grieving. And it wasn't until recently that I realized that I was back in a depression. And again, it was freeing to say, there's a reason. There's a reason I feel so heavy. I can't get out from under it. What is it, right? Those of you that have experienced it know what I'm talking about. Okay, no, we're crying. Okay, so we're going to go through some of this quickly. The main thing that I want to point out on this slide is that when you're dealing with emotions of depression, it's dealing with things of the past, emotion type of the past. And a lot of times we, I'm going to use the word triggers, but have those things brought up. We can't get over it. It's heavy. When it comes to, sorry, we're going to zip through this because we've got several things to go over. When it comes to anxiety, it's a lot of fear, right? And it's dealing with future emotion. So I like this little acronym, false events appearing real. Isn't that kind of what fear is? Like half the time it's over something that doesn't even exist. You guys see it? Give me a minute, you can see it. I like keeping this is powerful. False events appearing real. And reminding yourself that. I'm really sorry you can't see fine. So something that I want to point out when it comes to mental wellness is that we really are participating in a fight of light and dark. Like it's heavy, it's light, right? But what I want you to do is no matter where you are on the path of whatever is going on, I want you to honor where you're at. It's okay. Where you're at is a learning place and a learning space if you let it be. And it's when we come in to judge ourselves of, I shouldn't feel this way. I'm telling you what, the last 6 months, I'm like, why can't I get over this? I'm an adult. I'm smart. I should be able to fill in the blank, right? That's total judgment on myself. So I want to ask you to honor yourself and give yourself permission to be where you are. The other thing that I would suggest to you is in the battle of depression or anxiety, if you don't have a higher power, or if you believe in God or the universe or something, you're going to need something bigger than you. You're going to need something greater than you to hold on to feel like there is more than just what you belong to. So as I've gone through these many things, this is what I wanted. I wanted something that would work and support without side effects, right? I know about those side effects. I wanted something that would give me or my kids more control of how I feel every day. That you just don't feel like you're in this victim state of just being tossed around in a washing machine, right? I wanted something that would calm and give relief. You guys know the difference between calm and not calm, right? What we need is hope. So this is a really big deal. And whenever you feel like things are about as bad as they can get, hope is the one thing that shifts you out to it's as bad as it can get. So I want you to think of like a clock, or a clock, yes, but maybe it's the world. And at noon up there, when you're up on top of the world, like things are good, things are going great, things are working out, like extra money showed up in the mail, like somebody said your hair looked good, like you're like, I got luck, right? And then one little thing happens that you weren't expecting, or that you heard somebody say something this or that about you, and you're like, now you're one. The next thing happens, and then all of a sudden you're like, things aren't working out for me. Like nothing ever works for me, and like all of a sudden you shift, right? When you're down at 6, that's when like the weight of the world is on top of you. Nothing is going right. That is hopelessness. And when you're in hopelessness and in that place, you're in the bathtub thinking about leaving your family, right? That's the only way out. Well, for me it was. The one thing that shifts you from being in that space, the one thing is hope. Maybe this could work. Maybe I could do this. Maybe I could try that. And you one notch around. And then you keep filling yourself with things that could work, that you are trying, and you can get back up there. You know it's a cycle. You know that. And I know we go through it, but when you're aware of the cycle, you can use a little bit more of agency to get through it quickly. Okay, can you do something just holler? We have people on our, from far, far away on the computer. Am I okay, Dustin? Okay. All right, so tonight what I want to talk to you about is 3 natural solutions that I have found that have helped a lot. So first one is managing your frequency. You guys are probably like, what is that? You're going to learn, so that's exciting. Number 2, pure 100% natural essential oils and supplements. Okay, literally, truly, for the last 8 years, they have supported me like little people. They're my team, okay? So I'll tell you more about that. Number 3 is the whole brain position and deep breathing. Okay? So all 3, and this is like class level 1 because there are several other things, but we can't fit them all in. Okay, so let's talk about frequency. What is frequency? Here's kind of my dictionary definition. But if you were to take the smallest thing, an atom, and you were to look at it underneath the microscope, it would have moving waves, moving energy waves, protons, neutrons, like it's all moving energy. Even a rock seems super solid and like dead, right? We think of only things having live living energy as something that's breathing and alive, like a plant, but everything has this foundation in the space. Well, here's the thing, is that everything has that vibration, and if I were to have a tuning fork across the room, and then there was some tuning forks over here, and somebody hit that tuning fork, guess what would happen? Anybody know? Yeah, those ones would start vibrating at the same frequency. Those ones would start to vibrate at the same frequency, not being touched, because those ones are hopping over there. Matches right up, okay? Einstein said everything is energy. So my next little spot here. Have you ever walked into a room where you're in with a group of people and you're like, oh, that was awkward? Has that ever happened? How did you guys know? You could feel it. Okay. Anybody else have any insight on that? So nobody came in and announced him with like a little man with a stick that was like, it's currently awkward in the room. Like, no, right? You just kind of knew? Yeah, okay. What about, have you ever gone to a room and like you could tell someone was fighting, like you could cut attention and like, you're like, let's go, this, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's frequency. So I'm going to show you, actually, before we show you video, we're just going to practice and try and just want you to feel this. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. I'm going to close mine too, so I'm not going to look at you, okay? So we just won't look at each other, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so just close your eyes, and all you're going to do is just sit there, and you're just going to feel. And I'm going to say some words, and I want you to notice, what does it feel like? Okay? Keep your eyes closed until I tell you to open. Okay, so first, we're going to just take a deep breath in through our nose and out through your mouth. I hate you. Ugly. Kill. Gross. You're worthless. Love. You are beautiful. Joy. Peace. Free. Happy. Okay. Does anybody want to share? Yes, some of you do. Who wants to share?
For positive words, I could breathe a little easier. I feel like I was holding the breath in.
Okay, first, yeah, like a physical response. Yeah. Anybody else on either side, the positive or the yeah? Right when you said I hate you, that was anxiety from my stomach to my chest. And then as you started speaking those more positive words, I just felt, oh, it's awesome. It's amazing.
I literally felt myself shrinking inside myself. I mean, like, kind of like going deep down within.
like, hi,
And immediately, yeah, but then with the other words, it was like opening back up.
almost like a recoil. Like
Yeah.
that. Wow. Oh, that's cool. Who else wants to share? Yeah, I was.
When you were saying the negative words, you just felt this heaviness, just kind of pushing you down.
Yes, yes.
And then just
Yeah, it literally affected our physical body, right? It's not physical.
So the word abracadabra is Aramaic, ancient, and the word means what I speak, I create. So when you say those things, you're creating awful energy. But when you say the right thing, that positive thing, it brings it all right back. So
Super, super powerful. Thank you. So when I learned this, I was like, oh man, we have got to be careful of what we're saying around here at my house with my kids. So one of my kids screamed at another one time, I hate you. And I could just feel, it was almost like shooting a dart gun at him, right? Like right through the heart. And I was like, no. I was like, never, never. I mean, there might be other things that people would like be more disciplining about, but I sat him all down and I said, we will never say that. And he went to his room for 4 hours. He talks about it all the time. It was like 10 years ago. But my kids do not say that. And they don't allow it. Like, we're a family, we're a team, we won't speak to each other like that. So there was a man named Dr. Emoto from Japan, and he did a water experiment where he took water from all different parts of the world, contaminated water, he took holy water, and then what he did is he put pictures or words by the water. That's it. Let them sit by the water. Then he froze them, and he looked at the water underneath the microscope to see what would happen. How is water affected by words? So we're going to watch what happened.
So escape.
Okay.
And then you should be able to swipe 4 fingers. 4. The other way. One more.
You have me all set up perfectly. 4 fingers.
There it is. Except it's at the top. Yep.
Sorry, Ryan, and that you guys can maybe go and watch the rest of it when you go home, just so that we can keep it rolling for the same time. What do you guys think about that? Is that incredible? Okay, so the part that you did not get to see that I'm going to tell you is, and I see different percentages, but if words and their frequency simply sitting by water can cause that kind of a change. We are made up of 60% water. I've even heard higher percentages. Yeah, right. When I look online, there's
Brain is more than almost 90%.
the brain is almost 90% water. Oh. So when we have these thoughts going on in our mind, what's happening? Which side, right? And then when we're speaking it, we add power to it. What are we creating, right? Super powerful. So I'm teaching this to you lightly. I'm treading lightly because I understand what it's like to be there, and I'm not telling you just think happy thoughts. That was no way, right? So there's more going on there. But in part of the wrestle to come out and back onto the top, this is important. It really is important. This is a tool, just like the little pouch hanging from the waist that you can go to that will shift your frequency. So, sorry, this is not. What I want to show you here on this slide, this is they measured frequencies of these words. So I want you to notice what is the very lowest word here on the chart. They actually have like a number, like so much gigahertz or something like that. Shame. What do we often do or find with those that struggle with mental illness? Lots and lots of shame, right? And I think maybe, I feel like there's way more, way more of us that struggle with this now than before. But then I say, is that true? Or are we just talking about it? And I'm so grateful for that. So what I want you to do is realize, and to kind of take a self-evaluation at some point and say, do I feel shame? And I'll tell you a way that you can tell is, do you hide it? Shame loves to hide. It loves to be in the dark. And when it's in the dark, it grows. So the way that you get out of shame is to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is the antidote to shame. Brene Brown, if you guys want to write this down, Brene Brown, she is a shame researcher, and you will learn amazing things from her. She has a book called The Gifts of Imperfection that I would highly recommend reading. It's just short little chapters, and they are powerful, and they're based on research. The Gifts of Imperfection. So what I want to ask you is to, however it looks for you, to be brave and vulnerable in some way, to not give shame power and let it grow, and to have you go into the space of power and be vulnerable in some way with where you are. Okay. I want to point out, look at the high frequencies up here: enlightenment, peace, joy. Look what separates the two. Courage. What I love about this, courage is a choice. I am not a courageous person, but I have done some dang stinking courageous things lately. Okay, they've not been easy, but I chose to do it. You can choose courage, and courage is the thing that puts you in power. Okay? The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. Okay, so this is interactive. Y'all get to help me here. So we're going to talk about what is high frequency when it comes to environment, people, activities, all these things, okay? We already talked about high frequency words. You got to feel that. But let's just shout out some things. What would be, with this one here, what would be a high frequency environment, people, person, or activity? Toss it out. What's that?
Jobs.
Jobs could be either. Depends on who's there, right? What if you have a job and every time you're there, someone's super degrading and telling you how dumb you are? Wah, right? Okay, so that could go either way. Okay, like it. What other places? Yoga. Yoga. Oh, I love it. Yeah, breathing, being still. Love that. That's a great one. Nature. Oh, okay, that's my favorite. Nature fills my cup. I am like a renewed soul when I'm in nature. So as we're talking about some of these things, I would love if you are mental note or in your phone or paper taking note of what are the things that are high frequency that I love. Because that's the recipe that you need to follow when you're in that low place. Okay, so where else? Any other activities? Worship. Holy moly, guys. Prayer, worship, very high frequency. Dancing. dancing. Yeah. I like it. I like the awareness here. This is good. Okay. I've seen you all dance. Okay.
A lot just depends on the person. There will be different things that might be enjoyed for their life.
Totally. Absolutely. Yep.
So
Yep.
one person's joy might be somebody else's misery.
Okay. Cool.
Music or animals?
So what would be like high frequency music? We're going to touch on this. I know, and a lot of this is just opinion, right? So it's okay. No one's right or wrong here. It's just your opinion of what you feel is light and what you feel like dark. Because next is coming dark. So we might as well kind of talk about both at the same time. What would be high frequency, uplifted, you feel like that versus like, right? What kind of music? Let's ask that one.
Higher tones.
Okay, very good.
Like, classical, semi-classical.
Okay, classical, she said. Any other thoughts?
I wonder if it's like a movie score, like when there's something intense happening, and it's kind of like dark heavy music. When it's really happy, it's like that. It sparks an emotion, and that's kind of how I would judge whether it's something that's a high frequency or
So true. Okay, yeah.
Anybody like Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yep.
I already feel like I'm going to do something when you say that. Right, okay, very cool. So I want to tell you a little story about this. So one of our aunts had her son who was doing a high school science experiment. And they were going to take 2 mice and they were going to expose them to 2 different things and then have them race and see who won the race. So they took 1 mouse and they put it in a room with the lights on and they played classical music. And then the other mouse they put in a dark room and they played heavy rap type stuff. Okay, well, I think some rap right now. I know all the lyrics, but okay, so they put them in their own spaces, they brought them together, and they raced them. So who wants to guess? What do you guys think? Music one. I swear we've seen this on the internet, right? Okay, notice I didn't say who won. I said, what do you think happened? The mouse that had been in the dark attacked and killed the other mouse. There was no finish of the race. Yeah. That was an at-home experiment. That wasn't even a story on the internet. Okay. So the mouse doesn't speak English. So some of the frequency of the words could matter for us, right? But what's that all about, right? Some of those tones, some of those things really affected and made and built aggression. So I'm cool if you want to, like, sometimes you're just like, oh, like Rocky, I gotta, like, yeah, you know, that's fine. But just know, if you're in a yucky, low place, choose light. Choose a higher frequency, right? Because that house music is not going to help lift and bring you to a higher place. Okay, what about books or media? High or low frequency, either way. Whatever you think. How about media? Let's do media. What's that?
Violent movies make you violent. You can make you agitated.
Okay, something make you agitated.
Your family,
Okay.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, like something that's like super heavy is the news. And my kids too. A lot of times my kids are like, I don't want to go to grandma and grandpa's house because they got the news on. So I have to be like, hey, let's turn the news off so we can come over, right? Because it gets them anxiety and it's all stressed out. What's that?
It's all in the flow.
Yeah. But you know what? I am completely not in the know. I do not know what's going on in the world right now. So every now and then I check with my husband and be like, so what's going on? You know, or somebody reports or tells me something, and that's okay. That's where I want to live. But it's okay to be in the know, right? Like there's no judgment here, right? Just don't it out. Okay. Did you know that foods have a frequency? What would be high frequency food? What would be low? Garden, fresh
Ice cream.
I do love ice cream. It makes me think loved a lot. There's something to that, okay? So something alive, you know, and I really am. There's something to that, right? If I eat my ice cream in shame and hiding in my closet, what am I putting into it? If I eat my ice cream with love and joy, what am I putting into it? All of a sudden, it's loud and we're kind of more joyful and happy.
I can always have my turn when we're happy.
Just yell it out while you run through the house eating ice cream. So now we're gonna kind of look at, we hit the other, I'm sorry, this is what? Okay. Stay with me. So with low frequency, will somebody read me the little caption of this little guy?
Maybe I actually feel better. I don't see it because I suck.
Okay, like this little thing right here is real. Those negative voices that you start, like one thing happens and then it comes, yep, you're a terrible mom. Yeah, you totally stink at this. Oh, you totally made a fool of yourself, right? Going on back here. So one of the things that I want to point out that is really powerful is to start to be aware of what's going on in your mind. So there's this forefront piece, and then there's like 30,000 times more going on back here, like that. We think, I think it's 80,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them are negative. That's disturbing, right? So I remember learning this whole idea, and I thought, I was driving down the road, and I thought, ooh, sneak attack. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? And I stopped myself, and my jaw dropped, because majority, like it was mean, nasty about me as a mom. So negative. I was like, oh my gosh. I was caught off guard by what was really going on right there. So awareness is huge, you know, and a lot of times we numb out, we got like other things going on, and our mind is just rolling, like we're driving or listening to music or whatever, we're not paying attention. Stop it real quick. Be like, what was it? And then just start to practice turning it around, right? Like, that's not true. That's not true. I am doing the best that I can. I forgive myself. Those might be some of the most powerful words that I say to you tonight. I forgive myself. The immediate shift that happens. Okay. So this is my mom's water bottle at home that she makes her tea and peppermint tea and stuff with. Can you guys see what's written all over it? Positive, amazing words. And guess what else? I'm so proud of her. She doesn't usually buy organic, but all of her food is organic because it says it on the back. She writes down. I like it. That's awesome, right? I think that's great. Like, believe her too. Let's for dessert. Just look at this list though. No, right? It's so right. So we're just going to be really real about how deep that really is. Okay, who wants to take a stab at this? How is light multiplied? How did you know? She's so totally right. Spot on. Gratitude. Gratitude is how light is multiplied. You can give your gratitude where you feel that you want to give it to, but energy, positive, light is multiplied with gratitude. Okay, this is not easy. When you're low, when you're down, when you're stressed, when you're anxiety. It is not. I've been there like 3 weeks ago. And I'm all gratitude, schmatitude. I got a hand sign for you. Really? That is where, right? That's where you get to sometimes. I'm sorry, it's really 6 days. Hey, you're irrational on those times sometimes. So when you can get a little clearing, have some sort of gratitude practice. If it's that you write it in a book, or that you have a little something on your nightstand that forces you to. And I know Oprah talked about this like 20 years ago, and you hear gratitude, but I want you to think about gratitude in the way that I'm talking to you about right now. We are trying to have as much light in our life. This is a way. What can I be grateful for? What can the mistakes that I'm at? I love. I live somewhere. I ate today. Go basically here too. But this is an absolute tool that you want to have in your tool belt. Okay, so number 2, that was frequencies. Now number 2, I'm going to talk to you about something that I've used for 8 years. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'm so sorry if you can't see this quote. But this quote is by Hunter Anderson. That's me. But I'm gonna read it to you. Okay, so it says pure essential oils give an immediate frequency boost. This may be one of the most important reasons that anyone uses oil. You have no idea what it does, why, who, how, when. You put it on, your frequency is increased. Yeah. That's power. Okay, so pure essential oils give an immediate frequency boost. They support in both emotional and physical capacities by providing the body what it's lacking. The body is a master healer. It has the power to bring itself into homeostasis when given what it needs. That's what I love. You know what it needs. It can heal itself. It's that mechanism. So, my story. Several years ago, gosh, maybe like 8 or 9, I was in a point in my life where things were crazy, where I had more on my plate than I had tools, skills, knowledge, and mental capacity to deal with. And it was all going fast and big. And I felt like, I don't know if I had a nervous breakdown, but I felt like for sure I was getting. And I had done this little hand scanner that sends electrical impulses and then records back on the computer. It tells you what you need. And this scan said to bring all these things that are out of whack into balance, you need balanced essential oil. And I was like, well, hot dog, if there's anything that can make me feel normal, give that to me. That, to this day, is my very favorite oil. I put it on and I literally felt like I could handle life, like I was okay. I know it sounds crazy. You're like, what? How could that be from an oil? So I'm going to give you just some of the basics because many of you don't probably know the basics. So number one, the oils come from plants. It's plant medicine, basically. They go and they extract all the little oil sacs off of the leaves and the flowers, and this is the plant's defense mechanism. So they do that and they process it and distill it so that it's very pure and very concentrated. So 1 drop of peppermint is equal to 28 glasses of peppermint tea. Whoa, that packs a punch. That is some serious power. So we can use that for those medicinal purposes. Okay, number 2, oftentimes they can be more effective than medicine. I know, don't boo me off the front of the stage here, okay? But let me tell you why. 2 things. Number 1 is oftentimes like, okay, I've got a headache. So I go to the doctor and he gives me something for the pain. Okay, headache's gone, I have relief, I'm thankful. Well, why do I have a headache? Like, that's what I want to do. I want to quit getting headaches, right? So with a lot of your natural things, you're able to go to the root and say, why do I have the headaches? Do something that can help that underlying issue, and now you don't have headaches, right? So you treat the root cause. This is the other thing that was just like floored me 8, 9 years ago, is that we have our cell, okay, this is cell, bacteria lives outside of the cell. So when you go to the doctor and you have a bacterial infection, he can give you an antibiotic, because antibiotics, they can be outside the cell, but antibiotics can't go into the cell. The reason is that cells have an oily membrane, and most of your antibiotics or prescriptions are water-based. So the water-based synthetic can't get into the cell. Guess what lives in the cell? Virus. So that's why when you go to the doctor, he's like, you had a virus, sorry, at home, drink, sleep, wait till it goes away. He's not really giving anything for it. So the thing that's so exciting is that the essential oils can actually cross that oily membrane and go into the cell where the virus is. So they're antiviral, and they can go and handle that so that the virus isn't duplicating and growing and getting out of hand. Okay, so that's really, really cute. Third, we're going to skip no side effects. No side effects, no addictions, and no interactions, unless you're like allergic to something, right? You're allergic to lavender, let's not use lavender. 3 ways that you can use it aromatically. So I don't know if you guys smelled when you walked in. Did anyone notice you're like, that's it? Okay. Aromatic, there are some major benefits, and I'm going to tell you on the next slide a little bit about that. Number 2, topical. When you put it on your skin, it's into your bloodstream within seconds. I've seen a slide of blood that was taken, and the cells looked kind of wormy and coagulated, like all sludgy in there. They put an essential oil on the bottom of their feet. They drew blood. 30 seconds later is when they took the blood, and that picture of the cells, perfect circles, free foam. So the bottom of your feet has the largest pores in your whole body, so it can go straight in. Okay, and then internal. If you have got something that's very, very pure, tested, and you're sure it's pure, you can take it internal. And so the oils that we have have been third party tested, and that's why I will allow my kids to use them, and we've had amazing benefits come from them. Okay, so this is a lot of words, okay? So I'm going to give you the overall idea. Because when we start to talk about emotion, anxiety, depression, how the heck is an oil going to help you? Like, I don't get it, right? I don't even know if the darn things work. So this is how it works. So it starts, the little teeny molecules, if I breathe it out of the bottle, there's literally little teeny particles that go up into my nose, little hair cilias, and then it comes up into this olfactory bowl, and that sends signals out through the limbic system. So you can see right here, the limbic system is responsible for emotion, behavior, motivation, memory, and learning. Therefore, when you inhale tiny molecules of the essential oils, you are communicating directly with your healing area of the brain. So that is the limbic system, yeah, exactly. So it's not just woo-woo, it's science, right? When you go and get surgery and they're gonna knock you out, they take the anesthesia and how they give it to you? Shots, or they give you like the mask, right? They tell you to count to 10, and your whole entire body is out just from breathing that in. So you go in and into the brain. So that is the power of just breathing in and feeling like an emotional change immediately. And I have it happen every single day. So that's kind of the basics so that it makes sense. We're not going to go a ton into this, but it is important because, especially with depression, you're low in serotonin. So there's ways that you can increase your serotonin, and some of it is supplementing it. But we can, like it says, feel those intense feelings of sadness, and we need GABA so that we feel less anxious. And then there's this one piece I wanted you guys to know. So it's called the rule of 80. 80% of the brain is made of fats. It's estimated that 80% of the population is 80% deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. So that's a really huge one with any sort of mental illness at all, or any emotional overwhelm, is to be getting fish oils and to be getting a good chunk of them. Okay, so we're going to go over just 5 specific oils that I've used for the depression and anxiety that my kids have used. I can't even tell you how excited I am. I think that this is going to change the world, honestly. It just really came out in September, and I have needed it desperately, and it's made a huge change for me. We have had anywhere from 10-year-olds whose parents have said she's like a whole new girl, up to I've helped 55, 60-year-old that was like, this has made all the difference. So I'm going to pass it around. I can already start to smell it, and I feel just fantastic. So what I want you to do, you don't have to take a drop if you don't want, but to feel what it feels like and to breathe it in. So I just do a drop in my hand like this. Whoops, it comes out fast. So one drop, okay? So we rub our hands together, and then just breathe alone. You can put it on your wrist. This is a pulse point where your skin is thin and you've got blood vessels here, so it can take it into your skin quick. Also, back here behind your ears is a really great place. So let me just say, it's going to get oily up in here and smelling amazing, okay? But some people might not like the smell of a particular oil. I'm going to have you smell and try it, and I'm going to ask you what you think about the smell. Are you guys already starting to smell it? Okay, it's coming. It's coming. But if you're like, I don't want to smell like that personally, because I know a guy and he's always smelling like this oil. Okay, it's a real thing, right? I'm the same way. So I totally get it. I come from that same mold. So what I would say to do is you take it in the morning as you're getting ready, put it on the bottom of your foot, put your socks and shoes on, go wash your hands. There's no sign of it. You don't have to wear it up there like if you don't want. I love the smell. I love the smell. I literally, with this, I'm telling you, it sounds crazy, but I will crave it. I'll be working, I'm in my den, and I crave it like I like chocolate. And what it is it's your body saying, we need to regulate, we need to balance. Chemicals are off, go grab it. And at first, and this is the funny thing, I told you that I just was in denial for a little bit of where I was, and I kept telling everybody, you know, it's great for everybody. I don't have anxiety or depression, and I still crave it all the time. It's awesome. So then I realized what was really going on. So I think we had a bottle going around the back too, right? Did we?
Just the one.
Oh, do we have one that can go around the back to get it a quicker? You guys that are about to smell it, try it, breathe it too. Oh, did you put you guys up here? Let's have, can you guys leave it out on it? What do you guys think? I like the first smell and then second smell. To not like, it's just, you can like literally feel it somewhere in your teeth.
More of that like earthy or whatever, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily smell, but just you can tell it's doing something.
And it could change on your own skin, right? It could smell a little bit different on your own skin. But when you put it on, what you will find is the benefits, which are it helps with loss of composure, poor coping capacity and anxiety, addictive and compulsive or obsessive behaviors, feeling lack of motivation or mental fatigue, lack of focus, concentration, and inability to stay on task, chaotic environments, like truly, it helps with that. So they have it that way in the bottle, or they have a little roll-on. So what I want to explain is how you would apply it. So if you're like just starting to feel anxious or you're just feeling super low, you pull this out. It goes to a part of the brain that's fast acting. So you really get benefits like boom, like that. You can feel support. Now, this is not usually, I mean, okay, so if you're on medication right now, then this is going to support you in with your medication. It's fine, okay? But if you're on medication and you're wanting to wean off or whatever, you probably will need more than the oil. And our bottle right here in the middle is really, really amazing, where it has got some calming oils. It's got ahi flower, which is a plant-based omega-3. So remember I told you that omega-3s are really important for that brain part. We got that going on in here. Also, it's got gamma, which helps us to have the right levels of serotonin, so we don't have that heavy and that low. And then selenium is an herb that has been tested for anxiety. So it helps with both. Justin, do you want to tell them about your daughter?
Sure.
Yeah.
As a kind of young 20s parent, well, a mid-20s parent, whatever it was, young parent, our oldest was about 4 or 5 at the time, and came home from school one day. He got a note from school saying basically she is A, anxious, and B, very, very talkative, very all over the place. Wanting to be a good dad, wanting to be a good parent, didn't know what to do, so we were trying to, appease and everything, and reluctantly, but we made the decision to put her on some medication, anti-anxiety/ADD medication, starting about 5. She's now 21, and she's been on medication for 16 years. And I say had been on purpose. In September, we were able to go and see a convention and see the presentation for Adaptive and what it could, what it was, what the possibility was. Of course, I got misty-eyed and my wife cried because instantly we thought of our baby girl. And, we kind of, I don't know if anybody else has decisions and choices and so forth that they may have wished they had done differently as young parents. She started taking them. She started taking this in conjunction with the copaiba tablet, the copaiba pill that Doterra has. And after 16 years, she does not refill medication. She is completely off and using Adaptive. And I asked her, how do you feel? What goes? And she says, I feel like I have the clarity on my pill, but I don't have the side effects and the crazy things with appetite. The sleeplessness, if she happens to take it too late during the day, that's all gone.
It's amazing. We'll just
it's
Thank you for sharing that. So the trio is powerful. They have it like this. So if you wanted to put into the diffuser, so the Dr. Hill that works for the company says that consistency is really important. Having it in the diffuser where you're breathing it, keeping it balanced is important. So another one that we're going to pass around is Serenity. I've got 2 of those. So you don't have to remember all this. I actually have a little take home for you that I want to kind of share as we go. So what I've made for you guys is this card, okay? And let's pass those around so that you guys can be looking at it. Okay, I'm sorry, but they got printed small, and you practically need a magnifying glass to look at them. I'm serious; they're so small. But what I've made for you that you can take home is the 3 main words that each oil will do for you, and then a positive affirmation that goes with it that actually helps with the emotions that you're having. So for adaptive, it's going to be relieving, reassuring, and supportive. So if you're just feeling out of sorts and you're feeling just yuck, then you can say, I need relief. Okay, grab your adaptive. So literally, I need glasses. One of the statements in putting on the oil, you're having the physical help and support. Then we're going to work on the mental piece with it. I choose to let go of fear. I see that I am safe and have unseen support in every moment. Doesn't that just feel good, right? I love and accept myself wherever I am on my journey. I'm telling you, it sounds crazy. I know. But remember, I come from a place of living through it and being desperate. And this really has helped. So with Serenity, who wants to tell me the 3 things for Serenity? Yes, go ahead. It says calming, relaxing, peaceful. This one is used a lot of times at night when you go to bed. A lot of people that have anxiety or depression have insomnia or struggle with sleep. So helping you to be calm and relaxed. Always you can put it on the back of your neck, wrists, feet, just breathing it in. Having a diffuser like we had as you came in, you just have it running while you're sleeping. Super powerful. Yeah. Ooh, on the pillow. Love that. Yeah.
I use it before I fly. I have such anxiety not flying. We were on Germany a couple years ago. My sister's like, take this with you. And I was like, okay. And it helped a lot.
Well, that's awesome. You can just pull your bottle out. And
yeah, it was a roller bottle, so I just like put it on my chest. I'm like, it's gonna be okay.
Well, you helped everybody in the whole cabin because there's two of them, right? It's that. So one of the affirmations with Serenity is I release agitation, stress, and anxiousness, and I invite calm. See how that feels? Can you just tell by hearing those words it feels calm? Okay. The next one that is super helpful. So there's 5. I'm showing you 5, and these are all super supportive with both the depression and the anxiety. This is my #1 favorite. This is the one that I got tested for that came back and said this is what you need. That I literally put on daily that's on my nightstand. I love the smell of it. It's got trees in there, which trees are very grounding and just settling. And as you can see, stress and anxiety, tranquility. So some of them are overlapping, right? And you're like, oh, that's kind of what the other one said, but they are very different. They smell different. But do you mind passing? Do you have balance? Oh yeah, perfect. Okay. Oh, it's just regular. I told you it's going to get oily up in here. So one of the statements for balance, who wants to read me the 4 things for balance on the card? Yeah.
Grounding, stabilizing, tranquility, and insurance.
Okay. I could use some of that just about all the time. The affirmation is, I live in the present moment. I am centered and can handle all things in my life. And I'm perfectly supported. So you can just put this on the fridge, and then you can go and say, yeah, I'm feeling crazy. What do I need? I want that. Read your statement. Okay. Frankincense. Okay, this is known as the king of oils, and it is the oil of light. So when you are low, when you are dark, and you use frankincense, it dispels dark. It really does. It's so powerful. It is great for inflammation and several other things, but one of the very cool things is that it can cross the blood-brain barrier. So a lot of your anxiety and depression medicines are specifically made so that they can go up into the brain to make an effect and a difference in the brain. The cool thing is that frankincense can do that. Breathing it in, it's straight in, right? Anywhere on your neck, and this is like shoulders or above, you're going to have quick access to the brain. So again, just breathing it. Even if you're like, I don't want to put it on, I'm in a public place, you pull it out, out of your little keychain, you smell it, and there you go. So let me grab frankincense. Kills bad cells and creates new good cells. So I'm gonna pass frankincense around. Oh, you guys, please, you guys putting them on? Try them. You want to need light? Okay, here's balance right here. Yep. I'm gonna pass around frankincense. It's very mild. It's kind of woody because it comes from a tree. This is the resin right here. It comes from Somaliland in Africa, and they take machetes and they chop it off the trees. The trees that the frankincense is on has a poisonous viper that lives in it. The trees are spaced very far apart. Like harvesting this is a real feat. So the fact that we have it in a bottle that we can just so easily pop onto our bodies is like really amazing. So it's great for depression, meditation, prayer, and focus. If this is something that you have that is included in your life, add a little frankincense at that time. Amazing. It just adds a whole other level of life. Again, it's like that little partner, right? I want to feel this, I need this. Help support me in my body. Help support me in my mind. Okay, this really is sunshine in a bottle. It's like happiness, especially on these long winter days. But it really does help with just feeling happy. Like, it's all good. Life is good. Depression, fear, anxiety, renewing. So any of these are great to put in the diffuser. Any of them are great to put onto your body. Orange you can actually put into your water and drink, and it's a great detoxer. So wild orange on our card, renewing, uplifting, invigorating. I feel hopeful, positive, and happy. I welcome the bounties of life. All right. Okay, so something that's really, really important as you use oils or anything natural, really. Oils are 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. If you're using herbs, great, but anything in that natural space, you have to use more often than you would medicine. Okay, so like for example, if you take ibuprofen, it gives you pain relief for 4 hours. But if I have pain in my knee and I put peppermint on, it will help with the pain, but I probably need to put it on every 30 minutes to an hour. You see what I'm saying? So with the natural, a lot of times you will hear, or maybe you've tried, and you put something on one time, and you're like, I feel that. Oils don't work like lame, right? So that's not how it works. So you would want to use it consistently the same way that you would your medicine. So if you take a pill every 3 hours, you really want to be doing the oil or the pills every 3 hours. Like you have to have that consistent leveling going on. Okay, number 3 that I'm going to teach you tonight is the whole brain position and breathing. So I actually learned this from Iris. So Iris, you can critique me and maybe I'll have you jump in if there's any other important points. Okay, so when my, you guys still need balance? Anyone need balance? You liked it once, do it again. You mind what you want, put it on. Okay, before we move on, tell me, which ones did you love? Wow, right, orange is just always happy. Anybody else have ones that they loved? Okay, yes. All of us. Did anybody, just while you've been sitting here and while you put them on, can they feel a difference? Feel a change? Yes, raise your hand if so, I want to see. Okay, so most of the room. Will you tell us anything of how you felt?
Well, I wasn't out there driving in the dark, which is not my favorite thing. I was still kind of anxious, and I was happy to be
Awesome. Yeah, you almost like can't not have a physical reaction. Like when you smell wild orange, I've not seen one person that just doesn't go. You know, you can't not do that. That's true. It's true. Yes, as a matter of fact, I was at a class and Dustin's sister-in-law was there. She'd never smelled it before, and she literally went like this. Both arms straight up, and she screamed like she was on a roller coaster. Like it was real genuine. Right? We were like laughing our heads off. She's like, "That's amazing!" Like, get that girl a bottle of wild orange. It's only $10. Okay, so yes, thank you. Yeah.
It's that you smell them, and they're going by, and there's just one that you're just like, oh, this is the one. I love the smell of it, and maybe somebody else doesn't get it. I almost feel like maybe that's what I need.
Yeah, a lot of times you are attracted to one. Yeah, I saw some other times over here. Right? How you felt. You want that?
Okay, I smell you just fine. But and I put all of my the balance on as soon as my body was like,
That's why it's so favorite. Yep. Every day it's on my nightstand, and just like, oh my gosh, I have so much stuff to do. I like literally have to remind myself, focus on what I do, and I release that. Anybody else? You know, same with physical. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. I actually feel like I could just. So to me, that's peace. Yeah. When like I could lay down and relax and not be bound up. I need to have to right? Okay, anybody else want to speak? I thought that too, actually. I should have started with that, but I thought you might think it's with that. You're good, so good, stay for the dance. Hurry up. I love it. Put you right in the middle. She's like, cool. Anybody else? Awesome. Yeah, please.
And then I was just saying, I was like, I feel like the opposite. I feel relaxed. And she goes, anybody's got the oxygen in that oils, they go into your body and they find the holes, they find exactly what you need, and they give you that. So what you can do, multiple things.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out. It reminds me of something. A lot of this is got science in the study. So they did a study with lavender, which lavender is part of the Serenity. That was the purple one. They did a study with lavender and Paxil. Paxil is an antidepressant for those that might not know. And they found that lavender had the same efficacy, meaning that it worked just as well for the patients as the Paxil did. So how it works is Paxil or whatever, what's the word, medicine, is made of usually 2 or 3 compounds or parts. But the oil lavender is made of 4,000 different compounds. So, which is different healing properties, right? So the body can come and go, you a little bit of that, and that. Okay, pull it in, use it, and the rest of it. So there's all these other choices that comes from plants and nature. Okay, this is powerful. So I want everybody to be able to lead with this. Practice it with your little kids if you have little kids. And even if you're a big grown adult, practice it too because it makes a huge difference. So this whole brain position, it forces both sides of the brain to be active. So I realized that I live most of my life in fight or flight, which is your right side of your brain. This is your emotional side, your excitable brain. Over here is your calm, reasoning brain. When you are in anxietal state, you are not accessing your reasoning brain. Has anybody noticed that? Like when I would have my daughter, and she started to be like, oh no, and then what if, and then she started to like get bigger and more escalated. Like I really could not talk her down from it. I could not reason with her. Why? Because that is shut down. She's in boom, fight, flight, or freeze. Freeze is when you go into that low depressive state. Okay, and when you're in either one, there's all of these chemicals that are being dumped and poured into your body. And if you don't do something to burn them off, then they become toxic in your body. I was like training on that, right, Agnes? Okay, so we're going to do this together. So I want you guys to cross your ankles. Okay? Because we're going to get that part of the brain that's not working, that's shut off, to get back together and let's become one. Okay, okay, cross your ankles. Okay, so you're going to put your arms out. I know you don't think I'm going to do like this. Okay, we're going to do palms together. And then interlock your fingers. And then just twist it in. Yep, some people get palm on. Yep, so like this, palms together. Yep, you almost got it, Yeah, yeah. Okay, interlock. Okay, so you're going to bring it in and just hold it like this, okay? Okay, this makes me want to have to take a deep breath already, but what we're going to do is combine it with deep breathing. So it needs to be deep and slow and steady. So you're going to go in through your nose. I want you to go ahead and close your eyes. Okay? So in through your nose, deep and big. Out through your mouth.
And then down. All the times down is letting you know that you're very peaceful. And let it go more peacefully. Anybody want to share? Anybody notice anything at all? I mean, we're pretty chill right now anyway, but you know, it's been good. But, did anybody notice the difference with this? Yeah, so it's like this and then cross, right? Cross together. So this is really, really, really huge. With my daughter, when she would start to have one of her anxiety freakouts, so then where it's like, this is going to take me an hour to get calmed down and back to normal, I would start to see her get worked up. So if I could catch her when she was getting worked up and be like, okay, you know what to do. And we could do things immediately. So what she would do is she'd go on her oil. She'd go in my room because I have a chair there that was quiet and away from everybody else. She'd sit there, cross her legs, cross her arms, and take those deep breaths. And literally just those deep breaths, I mean, when you think about it, when you're right, and your breath's going like that, just to slow your breathing is hard. So if you're, please, instead of it's not often you get the expert in the house. This is who I brought my daughter to when we were struggling and I learned so much from.
The nervous system is basically two aspects. One is the sympathetic nervous system, the other is the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is the excitable part of your system. That's when your right brain goes fire, and your brain waves go like this, and your heart rate goes up, and your temperature rises, and your blood pressure goes up. All of that happens when you're in fight flight. That is your sympathetic nervous system. You are sympathizing. You are reacting to something that's happening. This parasympathetic is the other side of that nervous system, which is the calming. The calming part of the brain controls food, controls hunger, controls digestion, controls temperature, it controls blood pressure. All of that is controlled by the parasympathetic. So, you want to change what's happening in the sympathetic, and all of that is going crazy. You take breathing, which is the most powerful part, because that is life. Okay? That's the first thing you need to do to go alive. You use your breath, which is part of the parasympathetic. So you start to breathe slow and control. You take yourself out of sympathetic into parasympathetic. Everything comes in. Well, breathing is powerful. Chinese, for like 1,000 years, they have all kinds of fancy breathing patterns and all sorts of things. The breathing is huge. Yes?
So you said breathing was a training.
That's the other thing. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's the other thing. It forces you to stop just reacting. You have to start thinking. It makes you mindful. Like the mindfulness, yes, it puts you in the moment. What's happening right now. And it forces your thinking brain to become active. The thinking brain is the calm brain. Okay? As soon as you start concentrating on the breathing, doing this way instead of this way.
That's huge. As she's saying that, I'm thinking, how often are we, I mean, I think I would say majority of us are living in that fight or flight. So our temperature's up, our heart rate's up, our breathing is shallow, like, whoa, we're living in that space. And as she's talking to, I'm like reliving things with my daughter, where she'd say, well, what if this, and this, and this, and I would try to say, that's not happening. You're right here with me. You're safe. But that is, she's not taking that in because she's in that fight or flight, right? So once we could get her crossed and calm and breathing, then I could talk to her and be rational with her and say, okay, so is it really true that you might be the phone call? Well, you know, and then we could talk through it and bring some of that into like the present, right now.
Why is the crossing, what does that do? What does that help?
The two hemispheres of the brain have to be active at the same time. When you're in panic or anxiety, your two brains are not connecting. You're all in the one brain. The connection, there's a rope of nerves that connects the two of the corpus callosum, and that has to be, the signals have to be traveling quickly back and forth between those two. But when you're all in anxiety, there's nothing coming to the left calm brain.
It's not rational. You're just letting
There's no reasoning.
And the crossing of the ankles and the
Yes, it's crossing.
cross your mind.
Crosses all the energy flows of the body. So energy flows which are electrical flows. When you cross your legs and arms, you're crossing them, forcing the two sides of the brain to interact with each other.
And oftentimes you'll yawn. I would hold it for at least a couple of minutes to give it time to do its thing. Okay, so nutrition matters. We're going to talk several different things. I know we're going to be wrapping up here. I've already talked too long. This is something that Doterra has that has made a really huge difference across the gamut, honestly, from either mental illness to back pain. Doesn't matter what age. I've got a 15-year-old nephew who has really, really been struggling. He has got a defiant disorder. He has got multiple different things to the point where he's hospitalized and put into a facility for a little while he could try to get better. So one of the things that they did was they put him on this. This is a foundation of nutrition that we're not getting. When we're lacking, we have imbalance, right? So they put him on this, and they used the frankincense and balance, and there's one other. And she told me just recently, she said it's been 2 months, and he's not had one episode during that time. I know how big of a deal that is because this is one of my family members who has been through the ringer the last couple of years with intense, severe problems in their home. So he's 15, right? Or 70, 80, 90. So this one is having omegas. We talk about that for being important in the brain. At the cellular level, this gives you energy where the ATP is being built, and then your food nutrient, which is a lot of the greens. You have all the vitamins, all the minerals, you have essential oils. There's a lot going on in there that we're not going to go into. But if you can eat correctly, less sugar, good fruits, vegetables, and you guys know this, you're like, wow, I know, right? So just remind yourself a couple of these things, that it does matter, right? It does make an end result in our brains and in our body. The two main things this does, helps with inflammation, helps with energy. Huge across the boards. And we are an inflamed people, right? Yeah. Oh. Okay, so Elise just shared with us the things that I have on there. Avoid refined foods and caffeine. Yes. And avoid smoking. Okay, awesome. It's hard because when you want to have an escape, there are some things that we go to, but ultimately it gets us in this vicious cycle of not actually helping us, right? And then putting us back down into another depressed state, or now we have the guilt, now we have the shame, or whatever it might be. Exercise. Like I said, when all of that fight or flight is going on, if we don't do something with it and burn it off, then it becomes toxic. A great way to burn it off is exercise. So you hear people say you should exercise. If you don't exercise because you are like, I just really don't want to, do it because you want to be feeling well, right? Because you want to have less anxiety. You want to have less depression. Oh, yeah.
I just started to
Please.
this morning.
Yes.
I was not very happy with my husband this morning, which before, like when you're up at 5:45, it's really bad anyway. And so, and I have a 6-month-old baby, so it's just life. But I got up so I could exercise because I'm not healthy. And so I got down halfway through my workout. Those feelings, not all went away, but they decreased a lot. And just from exercise. It's like I could stop thinking about it for a minute, but then I could exercise and I was like, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to affect my whole day.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just gonna mention bad habits or just
smoking or something else, if they you need to replace them instead of just omit them. So like essential oils could help with like have something and do something with it.
You want to
Instead
smoke,
of
so put on the order. Okay, yeah, or exercise. Yeah, no, you're right, right?
I'll just say another thing about exercise. The reason why exercise calms you down is because when you're using both sides of your brain and you're getting them together, you're forcing your reasoning brain to be active.
Parent trap, let's get together, yeah. Okay, I did not know this until I really started delving into like what's going on with me, gut health. And I have issues with my gut, so it kind of goes hand in hand with where I've been. But a lot of your serotonin, UCLA did a study, begins in your gut, 90%. Serotonin, again, is what you need so that you don't feel feelings of sadness. So being able to have a good probiotic, being able to, enzymes are one that most people don't know about. I've seen a naturopathic doctor for some issues that are undiscoverable for a couple of years, and this is one thing she said you've got to get on, because our body does not make the enzymes to break down our food after our 20s. So like we have protease for protein, amylase for, I think it's carbs, and so when we don't make those, we're not able to break down our food well, to absorb them, to have that gut health. So having an enzyme, having a probiotic is huge, and again, eating healthy is going to help with that. Sleep, we're not going to go a ton into this. A lot of times, like I said earlier, people have struggle sleeping, falling asleep, staying asleep, insomnia. When it comes to these kinds of things, the Serenity is amazing. Put it in the diffuser. But we also have it in a capsule. I take it, and it makes it so that when I go to bed, I go to bed. When I wake up, I don't remember the night. I didn't remember every time I tossed and turned. And I didn't like work all night, like my brain writing emails and stuff. When I woke up, I don't feel rested. You know what I'm talking about? So just a little bit of that natural help. Okay, the one thing I'm going to pull out of this list, we're not going to go through it all. The one thing is use a meditation, visualization, so powerful. Most of the time, we're running, go. We're not creating space to be still. Calm, relaxed. That's peace when you have a space in your day carved out for that. So that's one of my big challenges for you, is to create space to be able to relax. Down here,
One thing too about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when your body is really calm and at peace that it can feel. While it's excited, can't do anything more.
So we
Give your
live.
body time to feel.
So we live in our excited brain all day, then we don't sleep very well, and so it's like, when is our body rejuvenating, right?
So I also, in Health Food Stories, talking to this guy, he knew quite a bit about stuff. He was saying if you eat right before bed, then your body works on digestion at night instead of healing. So like, if you can eat, sooner, which I'm really bad at, I love like ice cream. But
Midnight.
Yeah. So if you can stop eating after like 8 at night or whatever, then your body can use sleep time to heal itself instead of just digesting.
Awesome. Very good tip. Love it. Okay, this is the end. So what I am going to ask all of you is to engage in the wrestle, because that's what this is. It's a wrestle. And it is not easy, and you might get sweaty, and you might have to use every last bit that you have to still fight. But deciding that I'm going to engage in the wrestle, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to use what tools I can. And even when I'm super down low and I feel like I don't even know how to help myself. I don't even know what I'm feeling. I can't even say it's just yuck, right? Do something. Grab your phone, flip on a nice song. Something. Grab a wild orange and put it on. Go run. Just run in a circle in your house, whatever it might be. Choose to do something. Really, a huge portion of this is choice. And that's one of the main things with my daughter that I had to consistently tell her is, hey, well, you have a choice. Do you want to worry about this or not? Because if you do, let's just do it. Let's all get diarrhea. Let's just worry it up. Because that was what would happen with her. She would worry, she'd get diarrhea, and then she was worried that I'm going to have diarrhea in a public place. And then it was like this domino, right? So she ended up having all the time fear of having fear. Anyone understand that? Yes, you do, right? So if there's power in just saying, I have a choice in the things that I think and I feel. I recognize, I know that it can still be heavy, can still be overwhelming. But engaging in the wrestle and doing the fight, you're one step ahead. So, what did our friends tell you, and what was 3? Oh, get your brain balanced. Okay, so those are your 3 things that we talked about. Okay, so if you would like to get some of the things we talked about, this is something that I just made up to put together, so it made sense of like, hey, I want some of this, I want some of that. This is just the trio. You could buy just this one stick. If you guys want to come up and try more, you're welcome to. But how it works is there is 3 ways that you can get the oils into your house. The first one is retail. Most people don't do that. That's not the best way to buy, so they all full price. Second way is wholesale. So you get 25% off of the full retail prices, and you get a membership like going to Costco, and they give you 25% all year long, 25% on everything, on all their stuff. So these are just the items that I suggest, that I've used, that I've researched, that has made a difference for us. And there's a small, medium, large. Like I say, you can cherry pick and get one here, one there, and be able to bring the support to your house. And let's see. Okay, so you guys got your card. I don't know if you noticed on the back. These are super powerful, super high frequency words that I would suggest that you just say in your mind every day at some point. I love you. Thank you. Forgive me. I'm sorry. Very, very healing. So I hope that you guys will keep this and be able to use it. Last but not least is we are doing a wonderful free workshop. If you guys want to learn more, this class will be done again next Saturday. Like this one right here. This is down in Sandy. A day of free goods. Teaching how to make elderberry syrup. That's really, really great for immune system. Also how to build a solid immune system. A basic intro class to oils. If you guys are, this is your first, I've never heard anything about this, and you just want the basics, like how, where, what, why, like that's a really great class. Like I said, this class again, yoga with oils, so it's like the amazingness of yoga, but add the high frequency of the oils. And then you can't see it down here, but it's the coolest thing. So remember how I told you that I did that scan one time and I put my hand on the thing, computer sent signals to my body sent signals back. It's a full scan and a report that you can come and do for free. And it tells you how many biomarkers you have out and what you would need to get back into homeostasis. And we email you that, and it's very, very cool. That's where I found out that balance is going to save my life. So yeah, this is just a free day that we would love to have you join us. And with that, I want to say thank you. I'm very honored that you would come and that you would listen to the things of just a normal mom with normal problems like everybody else. And I have compassion and I sympathize with all of the places that you have been and that you are. And I know that with hope and seeking out peace that you can find answers and you can find support. So I appreciate you all coming. Thank you so much. Oh, so if anybody wants to, if you get any product tonight, then we do have some of the life-saving keychains in the back that my daughter had. It's just your little medicine cabinet on wheels where you get the little bottles that you can put your oils in. I hook it on my purse, my backpack, planes, trains, boats. This thing is coming in handy all sorts of times. So we've got that. And I think that's it. Am I forgetting anything else? And how do they get that? Oh, if they get any of the products tonight. Yeah. So, and everybody got one of those. Yes, if anybody else wants to try any of the oils, there's several people here that can help you raise your hand if you're a knowledgeable Doterra person. So we're happy to help chat. Something when you get your oils. It's like, okay, I got them, but now wait, what did she say about this? How do I use that? What you get is that one of us will spend time with you, 30 minutes and an hour, to go specifically over what you need, when to use it, how to use it, where to put it in your house so you remember to use it. So that's kind of a bonus that honestly you don't just take your stuff and be like, ooh, what do I do? We're friends from here on out. That's how it works. So thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.
Yeah. What's that? Oh, just now? Oh, it's been hard to do that. I don't usually do that.